Hey, welcome to another exciting edition of Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to spending some time with you guys and answering all of your voiceover business and marketing questions again this week. It's good to be back. I had a lot of fun at VO Atlanta last week, having the opportunity to run into so many of my voice acting friends and colleagues, potentially some of you who join on the live stream every week. It was nice to see so many people. We didn't get to do a Free Advice Friday live stream from VO Atlanta, but I do feel like there was an element of Free Advice Friday that was still going on at VO Atlanta as I was running into so many people in the promenade area and in the hallways and answering voiceover questions and having some mini coaching sessions and there's a few people I had some intense coaching conversations with as well. Pamela Muldoon, I'm looking at you. I told you I was going to call you out. Carmen Wilson, I'm looking at you. I told you I was going to call you out. But it was a lot of fun to be there, but it's good to be back, and I'm looking forward to spending the next little while with you guys answering all your voiceover business and marketing questions. One of the things that I wanted to start off with this week, in my mastermind this year, part of what we have been working on together as a group is follow-up strategies. I recently taught a fully updated version of my Follow-Up Academy Masterclass. I taught that a few weeks ago in February because I have completely overhauled my follow-up strategy in my own marketing efforts. And so I wanted to update that class to reflect that. And I've been working with the people in my mastermind trying to help them to overcome some of their struggles with follow-up and trying to build better follow-up strategies as well. So we've been working a lot on that. And I know that one of the most common questions that comes up with follow-up is, what do I even say in a follow-up? One of the biggest reasons why voice actors are not doing the follow-ups, why they are not sending those emails or making those touches consistently, is because they're not sure what to do. They're not sure what to say. And nobody wants to be annoying. And so when you don't know what to say, or you think you don't know what to say, and you don't want to be annoying, what do? You do nothing. The problem with doing nothing is when you do nothing, you get forgotten. And that defeats the entire purpose of all of this marketing in the first place. We don't want them to forget about us. And so I've been thinking a lot about the concept of follow-up and building out follow-up sequences and all of that sort of stuff. It's something that we've been talking about a lot in the mastermind. And it's something that I talked about in the Follow-Up Academy Masterclass. And that class is available at vopreneur.com if you want to check that out and help you to develop a new follow-up strategy. But I want to give you a few things that you can think about. I think when you're building a good follow-up sequence, you should be thinking about, what are the problems that this person, so the recipient, what are the problems that this person is dealing with that I, as a voice actor, can solve? What are the pain points that this lead or prospect are struggling with, or what are their frustrations that, again, I, as a voice actor, can solve? And how can I, as a voice actor, add value to their business? And so you may be able to add value to their business through your services and certain things that you offer, and that's one consideration. But I also think there's other ways that we can add value into the businesses of the people that we're reaching out to. And so I want to give you a couple of things to think about. So let's talk about adding value for a minute. The number one thing we have to do is get outside of the voiceover box. We limit ourselves when we only think inside of the voiceover box. And what I mean by that is when we only think about voiceover related content, or we only think that we can market while talking about voiceover related things, we are massively limiting ourselves inside of the voiceover box when there are so many ways outside of the voiceover box that we can actually add value. You are a VOpreneur. You are a small business owner. Some of you, like me, you're a small business owner with kids at home. And so you have that perspective. So you have the perspective of being a small business owner. You have the perspective of young children. You have the perspective of the mom or the dad who's working. So these are all different things that you bring to the table that have nothing specifically to do with voiceover, but they're all things that are relatable to so many other people. As a small business owner, I'm constantly thinking about things like sales, marketing, productivity. How do I build in efficiencies? What are the software, apps, services, tools that I can use to make my business run better, make my business run more efficiently, make my life easier? Time management obviously becomes a factor. I want to make sure that I'm able to get all the voiceover things done that I need to get done, like all the work things that I need to get done. But I also want to make sure that I have time for my family, time to spend time with my wife, with my kids, etc. These are all things that are relatable. And they don't have anything to do with voiceover, but we all have thoughts, takes, perspectives, lessons learned over the years. Those are things that you could use and lean into to potentially add value. What about the problems? What are the problems that your leads and your prospects are struggling with that you as a voice actor could solve? Well, maybe they've had bad experiences hiring voice actors in the past, and you can demonstrate how easy you are to work with and what that process looks like so that they know that you're just here to make their life easier, not harder, not more difficult. Maybe they've had problems in the past with voice actors who have provided less than stellar audio. This is something that we see across the board. On online casting sites, CEOs of online casting sites have said that sometimes as much as 80% of the audition audio that is submitted is bad audio. So maybe one of the problems that some of these people have had in the past is bad audio. And so you can talk about your studio. You can talk about the upgrades that you've made. You can talk about the fact that an Emmy award-winning producer named Uncle Roy signed off on your studio and gave you approval that your audio was good to go. And so these are things that you can talk about. When it comes to pain points, which can be similar to the problems, but just a couple of examples of pain points. Sometimes they're on tight deadlines, right? Everybody wants everything done yesterday now. This is a byproduct of social media, I think. We have no attention spans anymore. We're always in a rush. Everything has to be done immediately. And so if that is one of their pain points, the tight deadlines and the last minute projects, then you can talk about the fact that you can deliver very quickly, that you have flexible availability, that you offer clear communication, that you can be on call and available to them when they're trying to, race the clock and beat their own deadline. And so you could speak to a pain point like that. One of the pain points that I've addressed in my emails in the past is recognizing that, look, I'm not the right voice for every project, and I understand that I'm not the right voice for every project, but I also know how hard it can be to do casting. I know how frustrating it can be to do casting when you're looking for something very specific. I happen to keep a very large database of voice actors and voice actors that can fill a lot of different roles, whether that's languages, whether that's ethnicities, whether that's accents, genres that I may not work in, whatever. And so I like to let clients know that that's a pain point that I can address. You don't have to go through the hassles of trying to find the right voice when you're looking for something very specific. Let me help you with that. Let me guide you to my list of voice actors and find specifically what you're looking for. So these are just a few of the examples that I want you to be thinking about when you're trying to come up with your follow-up strategy. What are ways that I can add value? What are specific problems that my services solve? And what are some of the pain points that these people are struggling with that I feel like I can alleviate or address in some way? And if you can focus in on those three pillars and start building a follow-up strategy that works around those three pillars, I think that you're going to find that your success with follow-up is going to start to increase in a big way. And so that's what I want to encourage you with to start off today. So as always, I am here to answer your voiceover business and marketing questions. Whatever it is that you guys want to talk about, whatever it is that you are struggling with, whatever it is that you are looking for help with, I am here to try and answer as many questions as I can for the next little while here. If you do have a question that you would like to ask and get answered, if you can just pop a Q beside it when you put it in the chat, that would be very helpful, and it'll make it easier for me to find in the chat. Robert, welcome. Good to see you here. Man, those spicy almonds, my wife is like, these aren't spicy at all. Me, I was breathing fire. Like, I was legitimately like, they were so good though. I did eat a whole bag. I saved one for my wife, but I ate the whole other bag. Robert, that was genius. Thank you for those. Robert gave me smoked almonds at VO Atlanta. Oh my gosh, once you've eaten those, you're never going to be able to eat plain old boring almonds ever again. They were so stinking good. Hello, Pamela. I called you out at the very beginning of the broadcast. You may not have caught it yet, but I'll mention it again. I'm watching you, Pamela. Pamela and I had a very intense coaching session, an impromptu coaching session. There was a little bit of boot to butt, but with love, boot to butt with love happening. And so I told her I was going to call her out on Free Advice Friday if she wasn't doing the thing. All right. Terry says, what was your biggest takeaway from VOA? It was great to see you at VO Atlanta there, by the way, Terry. So what was your biggest takeaway from VOA? Did you hear anything that surprised you? The one thing that I heard, and I don't want to take this out of context, I don't want it to come across in the wrong way, but I sat in on a session with Lisa from Atlas. Lisa is the head of Atlas. Atlas is one of the most respected and reputable agencies in voiceover. Everybody dreams of being signed by Atlas. And she was doing a session that was specifically geared towards documentary and narration. And she started out the session by saying, I got good news and bad news, and what do you want first? And everybody's like, give us the bad news first. And one of the things that she said was the bad news is it's a bad time to be a 50-year-old white guy. Not quite 50, but moving towards it. And so that was obviously a little bit discouraging because my dream genre is documentary and TV narration. Like that is like my dream genre. Everybody else dreams of animation or video games or whatever. I'm that boring guy that dreams about doing documentary and TV narration. So hearing her say that, I was like, okay, well, this is depressing. And now I'm just going to go back to my room and cry for a little while. But she followed that up. And one of the points that she made was there has never been an easier time for a voice actor to showcase their abilities. With all of the tools that are available to us today, I'm live streaming right now on YouTube. We have Instagram, we have TikTok, we have YouTube, we have LinkedIn, we have all of these social media platforms with massive audiences and worldwide reach, and everybody is starving for good content. So we have all these platforms that are available to us. And then we have the tools. We have ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or Claude, all these different AI tools, large language models. The only thing that is stopping us as voice actors from creating content and potentially getting noticed, I mean, look, it's our laziness. I'm going to say that because I'm talking to myself here just as much as I'm talking to anybody who's listening. Last year, I created a series of videos. I did about 6 or 8 videos, YouTube shorts, and they were documentary style shorts. And I chose the theme of extreme weather phenomenon. So like raining fish and fire tornadoes and dust devils and, different things like, crazy, wild, extreme weather phenomenon. And I worked with ChatGPT, which I have named Jarvis. So I worked with Jarvis to write scripts, and then I narrated the videos and used stock video and stock footage to edit the videos together. And I put them up on a YouTube channel. And I actually had somebody see one of those videos and reach out to me with a narration opportunity. So I have proof of concept that it works. And then I had a baby, and that derailed. And, certain things had to go from the schedule. Obviously, life got very busy with the baby. And so I stopped doing it. While simultaneously thinking for the last year, I should start doing that again. And so to sit in on that session with Lisa, that was my boot to butt moment. I had this idea. I had proof of concept. I have the tools that I need to make it happen. It costs me nothing other than a little bit of my time to put them together. Why am I not doing the thing? So that was one of my big takeaways from VO Atlanta was, look, get over yourself and your stupid excuses and just do the thing. See, I can call myself out just as much as I can call any of you guys out. And so I've already started working with Jarvis on some new scripts. I recorded the first 2 and edited the first 2 videos. I've got 2 more videos that I want to record, 2 more scripts that I'm going to record. So I want to try to get about 6 of them done so that I can get a little bit ahead of the game, and then I'll be ready to start posting again. But I'm going to take advantage of the tools that are available to me. Because why wouldn't I take advantage of the tools that are available to me? And so, yeah, maybe through agents, there's not a whole lot of documentary opportunity out there right now for, white guys that are moving towards 50. That's fine. Somebody out there is going to hire me, and I'm going to find them. Or maybe they're going to find me, and it's going to be because of this content that I create. But we have this amazing opportunity through all of these social media platforms and through content creation. These opportunities didn't exist like this, 15 years ago, maybe not even 10 years ago to a certain degree. And it's time that we probably start taking advantage of those things properly. And so that was I think that was probably one of the biggest takeaways for me, Terry, and great question. And thank you for asking. And now that I've said it out loud here on a live stream, I've also built in a little bit of accountability. So if I don't get the videos done and published here in the next couple of weeks, then you guys can call me out and have the opportunity to do boot to butt to me. And it'll be a fun little role reversal situation. Cameron says, how do you build your internal roster you can share with your clients? Are these actors you've worked with directly? Did you seek them out or just come across them? Over the years, obviously, I've built an extensive network of voice actors just through coaching. And when I'm working with people in coaching, I'm sometimes making notes of the things that they do and the genres that they do, and I'm putting them into my CRM. Every once in a while, when I've had to cast for a specific role or offered to help my client cast for a specific role, I have the good fortune of having a large platform of voice actors, both through social media and through an email list. And so I can email and say, I'm looking for this specific role. And when people respond back to those castings, I make notes again in my CRM. And so that way now when a client comes to me and says, I need a female French talent, I can go into my CRM and I can do a search and I can find a female French talent, or I need somebody who can do a Brooklyn accent or whatever. And I have all of these different things. And so I'm just keeping track of it through my CRM. So I'm not specifically sending anything to the client. I'm finding out what they need. And more often than not, what I will do is I will offer to collect demos or I will offer to collect auditions for them. And then I provide those demos or auditions. And then when they decide that they want to work with somebody, then I'm happy to make the connection and the interaction or introduction. But I do want to make sure, this is something I will add, I do want to make sure that if I'm going to refer one of my clients to one of these talent, I want to know that talent on some level because I have to be able to trust them to do a good job with my client. If I refer you to one of my clients and you screw the pooch, that reflects poorly on me as well. So I do think that it's important that you know the talent on some level. Tony says, glad to see the live stream about to go on an anniversary weekend, but I'll catch the replay later. Well, happy anniversary, Tony, and thank you so much for joining in for a few minutes, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for stopping by for a few minutes. Pamela says, I've made progress this week since returning. Boot to butt works. See? Boot to butt works, and then the threat of calling you out publicly on a Free Advice Friday live stream. I'm sure that is a factor as well. Pamela's working on an idea that's going to make her a lot of money. I really genuinely believe that she's got an idea that's going to make her a lot of money. And so, if I have to put boot to butt to help you make some money, I'm okay with that. I'll put boot to butt to help you make some money. When a client reaches out to you for the first time and asks you to do an audition for them, do you ask them to sign the NAVA rider first before you send it or use a watermark of some kind? I don't. Should I? Maybe. Am I too trusting? Probably. Do I want to live with the constant threat and stress of wondering whether or not somebody's going to steal my voice and use it for AI? No, I don't particularly want to. I do have AI language written into agreements with new clients. I don't do it with auditions. Again, maybe I should. But I do have it written into language with new clients. And perfect example of that is I just onboarded with a new e-learning client this week. And they received an agreement with me where we talked rates and usage and all of that sort of stuff. And there is a clause that is very clear, a couple of clauses that are very clearly written in there about AI and protections and not using the voice for training and creating language models or voice models and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it is something that I'm doing with new clients when I'm actually booking the job. It is not something that I have done on the audition level. Uh, maybe I should. I don't know. I don't want to think about that. It causes me too much stress. You know, it's interesting how I've watched the evolution of this AI thing. So I first started talking about AI on the podcast. I first started talking about it in 2023. The first episode that I did, where we were talking with Mike and I were talking ChatGPT, and I got so much pushback. It was the first time that I ever had anybody give me negative feedback about my podcast ever. And I was like 200 episodes in at that point or something. But it's because AI obviously was a very sensitive subject. Nobody wanted to talk about it at that point. And it's interesting to see how much the AI conversation has evolved in those last 2 years. But I will tell you from my interactions with clients, and maybe this is because I'm glass half full and, hopelessly optimistic. Most of the clients that I'm talking to are not interested in it. A lot of them don't think that it's good enough. Some of them have talked about that it's not as easy to use. Like, it's not just straight plug and play. There's a lot of finessing and farting around that has to be done to even make the audio sound passable. Obviously, these are things that are going to change over time, but right now that's where we're at. But the other side of it is that they recognize that, it can be a threat to their job too. And so they want to work with humans. And so there's this banding together that is kind of happening. Now, I am not going to be completely naive and just, ignore the possibilities of AI or the realities of what could or couldn't happen. But I definitely haven't seen things evolve the way I thought I might have when I first started talking about it a couple of years ago. And that makes me feel good. That makes me feel optimistic. Bethany says, hey, Mark, nice to join your program today. Thank you for your contributions to the VO community and appreciate all that you do. Well, thank you very much, Bethany. I appreciate that. And if there's a question that I can answer for you, by all means, don't be afraid to pop it in the chat. And I'm certainly happy to answer as many of those questions as I can. Cameron says, on first contact, do you make the offer of, if I'm not the right voice for a current project, I'm happy to help you find the right voice actor for you? I don't do that on the first contact. That is something that I will do down the road in a follow-up. And that is part of my follow-up strategy with my prospects, not with my new leads. I don't know if there's a specific reason for that. I've never really thought through it that deeply, but I know that it is part of my follow-up strategy with prospects. When you're creating these videos, how do you plan for multiple format use? YouTube is like full screen, but the vertical formats wreck my work and I don't want to do everything twice. Yeah, so I right now am intentionally creating vertical format short form content. And the reason why I'm intentionally creating it that way is because of the fact that it's the most easily transferable across platforms. So I can create a short form vertical format video that can work on Instagram, it can work on TikTok, it can work as a YouTube short, and it can just as easily be posted as a reel on Facebook, or in the vertical format, you can post it on LinkedIn as well. So right now, I am doing vertical just because it has the most, it has the largest reach potential, the easiest, largest reach potential. If I do traditional widescreen style video, that is fine for YouTube, and I could share that on Facebook and I could share that on LinkedIn, but it's not going to share the same way on Instagram. It's not going to share the same way on TikTok. And so it's not as, what's the word? I don't know, diverse. So I have decided for now, I've made the decision that I'm just going to stick with vertical short form. Not quite as easy to create since so much of the stock video is widescreen, but I'm making it work at this point. Bethany says, I'm not new, but I'm just beginning my direct marketing journey. Which of your programs is the best place to start? I have all my tools in place. Demo website, audio is on point. Well, that's good. Those are the most important things that I always say, Bethany. You got to have your demos. They got to be great. Your audio's got to be good to go. Your studio's got to be signed off and ready to deliver. All of those things are so important. Website, you can't really market without your website. So I'm glad you've got all those tools in place. Voiceover Marketing Playbook is probably the one that makes the most sense for you. At this point, that is kind of my all-encompassing marketing program. It's about an 8-hour-long video course that walks you through everything that you need to know. I am a strategies and tactics guy. I am an actionable, practical advice guy. I am not a fluff and rah-rah guy. When I created Playbook, I made a point of leaving out all of the unnecessary crap. I could have created a 30-hour or 40-hour or 100-hour marketing course, but what in the world do you need with 100 hours worth of marketing content? You just don't. And so I condensed it down into here's 8 hours of the most important stuff. Here's what to do. Here's where to do it. Here's how to say it. Here's who to look for, and just really break it down. Actionable, practical advice. That's my whole thing. So Playbook is actually going to be out here on April 8th. It is coming back. So I release that program once a quarter. So it will be back on April 8th through the 15th. You can go to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. You can sign up to get on the wait list, and you'll be notified as soon as that course is available. It is a self-directed course. You will get instant access to the entire course as soon as you sign up. You will be able to watch the videos as many times as you would like. You can watch them completely at your leisure. You will always have access, so you can revisit the course a year from now or 5 years from now if you want. The only reason why I do timed releases is because there are certain bonuses that happen within those release periods. But it's not like you have to sign up on April 15th and we work through the class together or anything like that. It's instant access to the whole entire course. Get in and away you go. So voiceovermarketingplaybook.com is the website for that, voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Again, that is coming out April 8th through the 15th. So 10 days it is going to be out again. That is the program that I think would probably make the most sense for you. Definitely going to give you the most bang for your buck, especially because you have all of the tools in place that you already need to have, which is obviously the most important part of all of this is having the right tools in play. All right, let's see. Where else are we going? Again, if you've got a question for Free Advice Friday, don't be shy. Feel free to type your question into the comments, put a Q beside it. I'm keeping an eye out, and I will answer as many of the questions that pop up here as I can. Robert says, glad you enjoyed the almonds. 100% I did. I enjoyed your X session. When you have multiple leads at the same company, do you start a company record in Nimble or only as individual contacts? So actually, whenever you add anybody into Nimble now, it automatically creates a company record as well. I find that annoying personally, but I understand why they do it. We obviously, as voice actors, are one very small use case for Nimble in the CRM. And so, it's not that often that I have multiple contacts at an individual company. But because the contact records get kept or created automatically, whatever, I just leave them there now. And then it does give me an easy way of indexing when I do have multiple contacts at one company. So I still put in the individual contact records. They're just all attached under that one particular company. One of the points that I would make with multiple contacts, when I am marketing to new leads, I am trying to market to one person at a company at a time. So I want to figure out who is most likely the most right one. So I don't want to send a new lead email to 5 different people inside of a company. I want to try to figure out who the most right one is. Where I would say I would make an exception to that is if I'm reaching out to a company where there are multiple people, but they do very obviously different things. So I'm reaching out to a creative director or someone in marketing who's responsible for forward-facing content, commercials, videos, etc. But I'm also reaching out to somebody who's in the training department who's responsible for internal e-learning courses. Those are 2 very different people in 2 very different roles who I can market to in 2 very different ways. That would be where I would make the exception for reaching out to multiple contacts at a company at one time. All right, let's see. Yesterday, Christy Hars talked about how a sports group she contacted said they refuse ever to deal with AI. And I think I'm seeing that a lot. When it first came out, it was the shiny new object, and everybody wants to play with the shiny new object. There's always going to be a certain group of people who are going to be the early adopters. And so I understand that. But I'm not seeing this widespread embrace of it that I think I thought I might, and a lot of us thought we might see. Is it still a threat? Sure. It's a threat in certain areas. I think the jobs on the lower tier are going to be the first to go, but that was always going to be the case. That's not the work that I'm competing for anyway. And so I'm not. That's not really something that I'm sweating over at this point. Let's see what else. Cameron telling me, I don't know what to say in a coaching session. And now here you are asking 100 questions on Free Advice Friday. What are your unsuccessful exit reasons in Nimble for a new lead that doesn't work out? I was thinking not the right fit, doesn't use VO, out of business. Rates could be a reason as well. You know, if we can't come to terms on rates, but all of those other ones that you mentioned are all, I think those are all valid. Absolutely. Bethany says, voiceover marketing playbook. Got it. Tom Pinto talked about you in our last session. Glad I saw this today and got to reach out to you. I love Tom Pinto. I coached with Tom for almost a year, did my documentary demo with Tom. He is amazing, amazing. One of the best directors. Like, dang, he is so good. Mark, I'll be having lunch with one of my union head buddies in a couple of weeks. He said he was actually just thinking of me a couple of days ago. Look at that. It's almost like this stuff that I tell you works, Cameron. So Cameron and I had a coaching session yesterday, and we had a come to Jesus moment where I pointed out some obvious things for her with regards to connections that were in her network, and she's like, oh, like all of a sudden the light bulb went off, and it was very exciting, and so she's actually doing the thing because she didn't want to get called out on Free Advice Friday. But here's the thing: on Free Advice Friday, you can get called out for two reasons. You can get called out for not doing the thing, but you can also get called out and recognized for doing the thing. And so, you know, it can go either way. Wouldn't you rather be called out and recognized on Free Advice Friday for doing the thing? Have you checked out the new episode of the podcast yet? It is fan-stinking-tastic. Laila Berzins. Who hasn't Laila voiced for? At this point, I don't even know. If there is an animation or video game credit to have, Laila's got it. So she moved to LA, food stamps, Medi-Cal, working as an Uber driver, barely keeping it together. Now she is a top booking talent represented by Atlas, working with Disney, Genshin Impact, Marvel, like you name it. It took her about 5 or 6 years to turn her voiceover dream into her voiceover reality. But in the new episode of the podcast, she shares her story. She holds nothing back. I just found it incredibly inspiring. And it's an episode that I think everybody should listen to. So that is available wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. You can find that on Apple, Spotify. It's on the website, vopreneur.com. It's right here on the YouTube channel if you want to watch the video of it. But that is an episode that I think every voice actor should listen to and be inspired by. It was fantastic. That interview was gold. All right. What else you guys want to talk about? If you have a question that you would like to ask and get answered, that is what I'm here for. I want to answer as many of your voiceover business and marketing questions as I can. If you are enjoying the live stream, would you do me a favor? Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel as well, so you'll always get notified whenever I do go live. And that way you won't ever have to miss out on one of these. I try to come on as many Fridays as I am able to. But if you do have a question that you would like to ask, don't be shy. When you type it in the comments, just put a Q beside it. That way it stands out for me from everything else that's going on in the stream. Makes it a little bit easier for me to spot. But I'm certainly happy to answer as many questions as I can. So what do you guys want to talk about? What can I answer for you? How can I help you today? Matt says, loved the podcast. Laila was fantastic. Let's see, what else have I got coming up next week? It is going to be Matt Fogarty. And we're going to be talking radio imaging. Matt is currently the voice on 29 different radio stations. He had the incredible opportunity to be the voice of Taylor Swift's pop-up station on Sirius XM. He's just a guy like the rest of us who's just out there hustling and creating opportunities for himself. And so we're going to talk radio imaging. And then a couple of weeks from now, Tina Marasco is going to be on the show. No doubt we're going to get some knowledge bombs from Tina. I'm very much looking forward to her. I'm not somebody who's ever gotten nervous about doing an interview, but I'm a little bit nervous. I feel like Tina's like, Tina. And so I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to put that interview together and putting a lot of thought into what's going to go into that interview, but I'm sure that is going to be a good one. Man, I don't think people can talk enough about how amazing her library is. And so I'm looking forward to asking her about that as well. All right. Briscoe says, I know you're not a cold call guy. I hate it too. But what are your feelings on snail mail marketing? Waste of time and money or a sneaky surprise tactic? I actually think that there is something to be said for snail mail, but I would be very strategic in it. I don't know that I would try just a mass snail mail campaign. However, would I use it as a follow-up strategy with prospects? 100%. And have done that in the past and have converted on that in the past. And for exactly the reason that you said, which is it's kind of a sneaky surprise tactic. Everybody's trying to get into our text messages. Everybody's trying to get into our direct messages. Everybody's trying to get into our inbox. Who the heck's trying to get into our mailbox? Nobody's trying to get into the mailbox. And so when you do, and you do it in a fun or creative or memorable way, I think it does actually make you stand out. And so I do think there's something to that. And I do think that is a strategy worth trying. Quick tech question. Oh man. The strange weather vids you're creating, is there a specific video creator tool you're using for these? Can you briefly break down your process? So very specific prompting in ChatGPT to get a very specific style of script for a very specific type of narration. I'm using services like Pixabay and Pexels, which are websites that you can go onto to find stock footage, so stock video and stock photography. I am currently editing them in Adobe Premiere. You don't have to edit in Adobe Premiere, but I have Adobe Premiere and I'm somewhat comfortable with Adobe Premiere. So that's what I'm using to put them together. So just recording the voiceover in Adobe Audition, moving it over into Adobe Premiere, matching up, stock video as best as I can. Obviously, I can't find specific videos for everything, but just something that gives it a decent visual. Now, one of the things that I'm doing differently on these videos from the last ones, the first batch of videos that I did were full screen video. With these ones that I'm doing, I'm actually going to put the upper quarter of the screen is going to be me on camera narrating, and then the visuals that I'm editing in are going to be below. And I decided to do it that way because I felt like that was a good way of showcasing this is voiceover without actually having to say voiceover. So people will see me on screen doing the narration. So that's the only thing that I'm doing differently this time. So I go into the booth, I record that with my phone. This got confusing. So I record the audio in Adobe Audition. I record the video on my phone. I import those into Premiere. I sync my recorded audio with my phone video, shrink those to the upper quarter of the screen, and then put the stock video, stock footage in the lower 75%, give or take. It's not as complicated or difficult as it sounds. I know I'm probably making it sound complicated and difficult. But then when I upload them to YouTube, I will I'll use music from YouTube's available library so that I don't have to worry about any issues on the music side, because I know that the music side can often get you dinged for copyrights and all of that sort of stuff. So if you're using the actual content from YouTube's library, that won't be a problem. And I don't have to worry about monetization because this new channel that I'm using for all of this stuff isn't monetized anyway. So what difference does that make? I haven't decided if I'm going to add captioning yet. I probably will. I think that's pretty standard now to add the captioning. So I will probably include that. But yeah, that's pretty much the process. In your Nimble course, the last video is creating a basic sequence, and you say the next video will be how to incorporate sequences into workflow. Do you know when that next video will be available? Yes, soon. It was one of those things where leading up to VO Atlanta, I just did not have time to get it done. So I will work on that. I will get that done in the next couple of weeks and get that video added. It's very similar. There are settings now in sequences so that as a person moves through a sequence, it can also simultaneously move them through a workflow. And it's not strictly necessary, But for me, it's nice because I can log into a workflow at any given time and I can get that full picture overview of where people are at, what stage people are at. And so that's the way that I have it set up. iMovie is a nice simple video app for Macs. Yes, it is. LumaFusion is a nice simple app for iPads. DaVinci is a robust app for PC and Mac, but has a learning curve. Yeah, DaVinci is a very popular one as well. If I was not paying for Creative Cloud, for the Adobe Creative Cloud, I would probably use DaVinci. Although I do also have Final Cut Pro, which I used Final Cut Pro for years. The only reason why I switched to Premiere was because I was doing all of my audio in Adobe Audition, and it's nice to be able to bounce back and forth between the two programs. One of the best marketing things that I did at VO Atlanta was walking around on Thursday with a case of Dr. Pepper, handing out Dr. Peppers at VO Atlanta. It's the most random stuff that makes people pay attention. Kay says, I previously did a series about daily holidays. I researched the holiday and created a script, then did a simple Canva visual. Would you suggest a video instead if I pick this back up? I want to. I think you do video, but there are ways that you can use still images in video and still have motions, right? Because sometimes it's hard to find video depending on the subject matter. But I definitely think that video is good. And I think it's because so many of the platforms are pushing so hard into video now. TikTok, obviously, video platform first. Instagram used to be a photography platform, but let's be honest, Instagram is basically a video platform at this point. YouTube has made it very clear that they're doubling down on short form content because they're trying to compete with TikTok and Instagram. LinkedIn has now created a video feed, a separate video feed, because they're doubling down on video as well. And so it's where everybody's going right now. And so I definitely think that there is something to be said for creating that video content, and it doesn't have to be that hard. Pixabay has a lot of free music already cleared for YouTube. Oh, well, there you go. Perfect. Then I might be able to do that and mix it in. Thank you. That's a good tip. All right, let's see what else is going on. Mark's Nimble course is great for anyone looking to use it for their CRM. Very helpful to set up and understand the overall program. Well, thank you so much for that, Cameron. I appreciate that. Are you trying to say nice things about me now so I don't call you out on Free Advice Friday anymore? Because it won't work. I'll call you out if I feel like calling you out. I'm watching you, Cameron. Do the thing. All right, let's see. Kay says, you were handing out free Dr. Pepper. Now I'm even more jealous I wasn't there. So I did an X session on Thursday, and very first thing I did when I got to the hotel Thursday, literally, very first thing I did as I was checking in was I was doing an Uber Eats delivery for Dr. Pepper. Both so I could stock the fridge in my hotel room and so that I would have Dr. Pepper for my X session. And so I did take a case of Dr. Pepper to my X session and offered it to anybody who wanted one. And there were some left in the case after the X session was completed. So then I was literally just walking through the hallways carrying this case of Dr. Pepper and just handing them out to random people if anybody wanted one. And it gave me an idea for my next conference. So if you're coming to Mavo, just know there might be something going down at Mavo. Mark sees right through my attempts at flattery. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I do. Peer deeply into your soul. Get right straight to the heart of what is really going on behind the scenes. Absolutely. What was some of the best giveaways you saw at VO Atlanta this year? Are you talking prize-wise? What are some of the best giveaways? I mean, man, I think the closing ceremonies was just a 3-hour Price is Right. That's what it kind of felt like. I mean, I by the time we were done, I think almost everybody that was in attendance must have won something. There were so many prizes that were given away at VO Atlanta this year, which is, obviously part of what makes it fun. I got to say, I'm so proud of Christy Harst. And congratulations to Christy, who was this year's unicorn winner. And I think she was absolutely deserving of being the unicorn winner. The work that she is doing on her Building Doors campaign, she is building doors and she is kicking them down, which seems counterproductive, but no. Like, the doors are being built and she is busting them down to get access. And some of the rooms that she has been able to get into, some of the tables that she has been invited to sit at as a result of that campaign, Man, she's making an impact, massive, massive impact. And I'm so proud of her. I was so happy to see her win the Unicorn Award. I was super excited for Anne Ganguza. If you look over my shoulder, wait, which way do I got to go? There. That award that you see right there on the table behind me, that is the award that I won at VO Atlanta last year for the Service Provider of the Year, which totally caught me by surprise and almost made me cry. Anne Ganguza won it this year. Couldn't be more excited and proud of Anne. Anne is she has been one of the most impactful and influential people in my entire voiceover career. She has been a mentor for me from the very beginning of my journey, years before she even knew she was a mentor for me. She was a mentor for me because I was following her on social media and subscribed to her emails and learned so much from her. So I was so excited to see her win the award. Randy Thomas getting the Voice of Greatness Award, incredibly deserving. And I loved the fact that they were able to label the award or name the award the Voice of Greatness. So it's the VOG Award. And Randy Thomas, of course, legendary voice of God, voice of Goddess, winning that award. That was pretty exciting as well. There were some really cool moments at VO Atlanta this year. Rhinos and narwhals. That's right, man. Rhinos and narwhals. Christy's speech was absolutely brilliant. For somebody who got caught on the spot there, she was not prepared for that. She dropped the rhinos and narwhals and referenced it back to unicorns. And I was like, dang, that's actually pretty good. What does the unicorn winner actually win? I didn't see that in the videos. Okay. I don't actually know what the number is, but there's gotta be $50,000+. Like, in all seriousness, there's gotta be $50,000+ in prizes that are part of that unicorn package now. It's just continued to grow over the years. For anybody who watched the replay, there were all kinds of us on stage with the unicorn nominees. Everybody that's on stage, these are all people who have donated prizes. And so coaching, classes, workshops, demos, gift cards, like you name it. The way it works now, because the prize pool has actually grown so massive, is all three of the people who are nominated actually end up divvying up the prizes. So it's kind of a lottery pool system where Christy gets to pick two, and then Patrick picks a prize and Emma picks a prize. Then Christy picks two, then Patrick picks a prize and Emma picks a prize, and they work their way through the entire collection. But there's easily got to be $50,000 in prizes at this point, maybe even more. I don't know. It's become a very big deal. The unicorn has. Let's see. Bethany says, would you say it is more important to create content and push that, or is it better to direct market your demos, your website, and yourself? I think it's a combination of the two. I really do. I think both of them land in different ways. I think both of them hit different audiences, but I think both of them work in conjunction with each other as well. When somebody markets a service to you, my guess is instinctively, one of the first things that you do is you Google that person to find out whatever you can about that person, that company, that service, that product, that brand, etc. So I think it stands to reason that when you're doing direct marketing, there are a percentage of those people who are going to look you up. What are they going to find? If they don't find anything, that's a problem. And so I think that's why your direct marketing and your content they can work in alignment with each other as well. There's a certain percentage of people who will find you because of your content. There are a certain percentage of people who will come to you because of your direct marketing efforts. And I think there's a certain percentage of people who will come to you because of the combination of those two things working together. And so I really think that they're both part of an overarching marketing strategy. I would not specifically do one at the sacrifice of the other. Now, that being said, you look at somebody like Tawny Plattis, who's, got darn near 100 million views on her videos on social media. She's at a point now where she can rely pretty much exclusively on social media because she has the audience, she has the reach, she's built that platform. I don't have that. And so I'm relying on a combination of the two at this point. All right, let's see. What else is going on? Again, if you have a question for Free Advice Friday, don't be shy. Type it in the comments. I'm happy to answer as many of those as I can. 10 dozen cookies consumed and not by me. What were you guys doing? Uncle Roy did have the giant suitcase of bagels at VO Atlanta. I got to bring more Dr. Pepper next year, clearly. TJ says, I'm specifically referring to the swag that voice actors gave away. Well, I can tell you that my wife immediately confiscated the piece of swag that Brad Hyland put into the bag. If you didn't see it, Brad had a little microfiber cloth that's, for cleaning your glasses, basically. I don't wear glasses, sunglasses, but my wife wears glasses. Two of my daughters wear glasses. So my wife immediately confiscated that, and she was going to be using that for cleaning glasses, although it would work just as well for cleaning, wiping your phone screen or your tablet screen or your laptop screen or something. So I actually thought that was a really smart idea, because my whole thing with swag is, give me something useful. Give me something that I'm going to keep on my desk. Give me something that I'm going to use on a daily basis, because if you give me something that I'm going to use on a daily or at least a regular basis, then every time I go to use it, you're getting top of mind with me again. And so, how many pens do we need ultimately? How many little notepads do we have where, they just end up not getting used sometimes? But something like that glasses cleaner, which nobody else was doing anything like that, I actually thought that was a really smart idea. So kudos to Brad Hyland for that, because I think that was probably one of the more memorable pieces. I would also say Memo. Do I have it down here? Oh, I don't think I have it down here right now. Memo Saceda is he's with Wovo and the executive board of Wovo. He was speaking as part of the Spanish program. He handed me his little swag bag. Memo's always the greatest, and he partly knows me, I think, but he's always the greatest at putting little fidgety things in. I am, look, like, see this guy? This sits on my desk 24/7. And I'm a fidget guy. And so Memo he's really good at creating fidgety type stuff. Now, the last fidgety thing that he gave me, Kaylee actually took it, so I'm not 100% sure where it ended up. But there were more fidgety type stuff in his swag bag this year. So I'm all about that stuff too, but that's maybe just me because I'm a fidgeter. All right, let's see what else is going on. Social media is like rented land when it comes to content. I highly recommend diversifying content distribution and always creating a strong home base, website, blog, podcast, etc. This is a really valid point. I've had YouTube shut me down before and thought I was going to lose access to all of that. So when you're creating your content, thinking about how can I distribute this across multiple platforms, that way, I mean, look at how many people's butts puckered firmly and fully when TikTok was going to get shut down in the United States, and people who had built their entire business, their entire platform on TikTok, if TikTok went away, they were done. They were shut down. People who were making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of dollars on TikTok, creators, influencers, potentially completely deplatformed overnight because TikTok goes away. And so I definitely think there's something to be said for diversifying your platforms. And just like Pamela said, it's also the reason why I keep an email list. I want to collect as many emails as possible, because ultimately, even if all the social media platforms go away, I can still have somebody's email address. So I still have a way of forming direct communication. And I think that's really important too. Let's see, what else? I had so many folks saying that my cookies were a lifesaver during the conference. They forgot about them until they ran across them when needed. Hey, you feed me, right? I mean, Robert's almonds, same deal. Give me food. Food works. food and Dr. Pepper. Let's see. What else? I got time for maybe one more question. If there's something that you want to ask, as a reminder, again, Playbook is going to be back April 8th to the 15th. So we're coming here in a few weeks. If you head over to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com, you can get onto the wait list. Once you are on the wait list, you will be notified of an exclusive pre-sale. Only people on the wait list are going to get access to it. It's only going to last for one day. You're going to be able to get tons of bonuses to add even more value to your Playbook package. But you've got to be on the wait list to find out about it, and you have to sign up for it on the day of the pre-sale to take advantage of it. So you can do that if you head over to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. That's the website right there. Sign your name, sign your email. You'll get on the wait list. And then again, like I said, you'll get notified in 10 days when we're ready to roll, but you will get access to the exclusive pre-sale. So check that out at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Just one more thing. When you started out the content videos, how did you initially become found online? I just started sharing and trying to optimize titles, and I'm not great at that stuff, to be honest with you. And my videos, just to be clear, those videos that I shared, the original ones, I mean, I think the highest reach one of them had was like 3,000 views. Most of them are around 500 or 600 views, which is terrible. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's terrible. But the other point that I would make is you don't specifically need to have 1 million views in order for it to be worthwhile. If you only get 500 views, but one of those people who viewed it is a potential buyer, then it was worth your while. So I just started sharing. And I think when I get back into it and start sharing more consistently, I think that's a big part of it too, is consistency over long periods of time, right? YouTube's not looking to promote the people who are showing up once or twice. YouTube's looking for the people who are showing up once or twice a week, every week for a year. People who are the regular content creators. When you agree to provide an audio sample to a prospect, can't you just add language in your email like your receipt of the sample audio confirms your agreement to not use it to create an AI model? You 100% could do that. I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't do that. All right. If I missed your question, I do apologize. I certainly do not try to miss any questions. I try to get to as many of them as possible. But sometimes when the chat gets really busy, I'm just kind of scrolling back through right now. But sometimes when the chat gets really busy, sometimes I do miss things. I do apologize. I certainly wasn't trying to miss it. I do want to thank you guys for coming and joining Free Advice Friday. As always, it is fun for me to hang out and answer your questions and hopefully be able to give you some helpful advice that will grow your voiceover business. Make sure you listen to the new episode of the podcast. Again, it's available wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. It is right here on the YouTube channel. Such a good one. Laila has such a great story. Another person who was profoundly impacted by Uncle Roy. I think he has had a profound impact on a lot of people in the voiceover industry, myself included. And she gives credit to Uncle Roy early in the episode, but a really inspiring story of somebody who just went for it, just burned the boats and went for it. So listen to that one. Like I said, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's on the website at vopreneur.com. All the places. Put that on your weekend listening. I think you're certainly going to be inspired by Laila and her story. If you joined late for Free Advice Friday, the replay is going to be here on the YouTube channel as well. I will get chapter markers added in at some point as well, so you'll be able to go back. It makes it a little bit easier to find the specific questions that were asked and answered. But certainly make sure you go back and watch the replay. All previous Free Advice Fridays are right here on the YouTube channel, so you can always go back and listen to any of those Free Advice Fridays or revisit any of those. And again, all the old ones have the chapter markers added as well. So if there's specific things that you're looking for, you can certainly find them through that. All right. Making bacon this weekend, in case anybody's interested. Got about 20 pounds of pork belly in the fridge. It's curing as we speak. My wife will be very grateful when it is done curing because it is taking up a crap ton of space in the refrigerator, and she's starting to get frustrated by it, but it is bacon making weekend. So probably Sunday that'll go into the smoker. Kind of surprised. Usually somebody asks me, what's going in the smoker this weekend, Mark? Well, this weekend it's going to be bacon. Once you have made your own homemade bacon, that's it. You're ruined. You will never be able to eat grocery store bacon again as long as you live. And so I have unfortunately and fortunately fallen down that trap where I have made my own bacon. It is better than any other bacon you will ever eat. And so now for the rest of my life, I have to make bacon every few months. First world problems, right? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on Free Advice Friday. I love hanging out with you guys. I love it when you come and ask questions. It's helpful for me to know how I can help you, but it also keeps me sharp as well, and I appreciate it. Pamela, do the thing. Cameron, do the thing. I'm watching you. Whatever you decide to do this weekend, as always, have fun, stay safe, and go find some leads.